Get ready to step into a world where the unknown lurks in the shadows and the impossible becomes reality. Here, you will hear stories that defy logic, encounters with the unexplained, and mysteries that echo through time. Welcome, but be careful. Some stories are more than just tales. They are still alive. Good evening, my friends. After following the channel's stories for so long, I decided to share a real-life experience that happened to me a few years ago. My name is Francis, and I'm from Denver. I was never one to attend funerals, but when I learned that a very dear neighbor had passed away, I felt compelled to be present. Upon arriving at the cemetery, I was met with an atmosphere of deep sorrow. People had gathered, weeping and speaking softly about that heartbreaking loss. I spent some time in the chapel trying to steady my nerves while reflecting on the neighbor whose life had been taken too soon. Shortly after, I made my way to the small canteen to get a cup of coffee. As I was sipping my coffee, a young child approached me. He appeared to be about 5 years old and, in a timid voice, asked if I could give him a cup of water. I was taken aback by his request, not expecting to see a child alone in such a place. Still, I bought a small bottle of water and handed it to him. The child drank silently and then walked away. Later, as the procession made its way to the burial site, I remained with the group. Along the way, that same child reappeared and once again asked for water. By then, I was far from the canteen and couldn't go back for another bottle without losing pace with the procession. So I reached into my bag, took out the small bottle I had bought for myself, and offered it to him. He accepted it without a word and continued on his way. At that moment, I couldn't help but wonder, where was his mother? A child so young shouldn't be wandering alone without someone to care for him. After the burial, I decided to walk through the cemetery for a while, seeking solitude to reflect on the day's events. As I strolled among the gravestones, I stopped in front of a tomb that caught my attention. On its headstone was a photograph that made me freeze in disbelief. It was the image of the boy who had asked me for water twice. I stood paralyzed, never expecting to see his face carved into a gravestone. Still shaken, I sought out the gravedigger to ask if he knew anything about the boy. He explained that the child, along with his mother and 2 brothers, had perished in a fire a few years earlier. According to him, the fire had been set by the boy's own father after his wife asked for a divorce, a cruel act that destroyed their lives. Although the boy initially survived the blaze, he never recovered from the trauma of losing his family. I was deeply shocked by both the tragedy and the unmistakable sign of the child's lingering presence. Since that day, the image of the boy has haunted me. I kept thinking about everything, the child asking for water twice, then seeing his photo on a tombstone. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was there, somehow needing help or trying to reach out. I had never encountered anything so supernatural before, but what I witnessed made me believe there was more beyond what the eye can see. In the days that followed, I found myself returning to the cemetery, driven by an inexplicable need for answers. I began noticing subtle details, a soft rustling of leaves when the air was still, and at times a faint giggle echoing between the tombstones. At night, I was visited by vivid dreams in which the boy appeared to me in a quiet, moonlit garden. In these dreams, his eyes held both sadness and hope, as if he were silently pleading for someone to understand his story. Compelled by these experiences, I began a quiet investigation. I visited local archives and spoke with elderly residents who remembered the tragic fire. Their stories were filled with sorrow and regret, painting a picture of a family torn apart by betrayal and despair. One neighbor recalled that on certain moonlit nights, faint cries could be heard near the ruins of the old family home, as if the boy's spirit was still searching for solace. These accounts deepened the mystery, and I began to wonder if I had been chosen to honor his memory. Feeling the need to show deeper respect and seek some form of reconciliation for that tragedy, I decided to arrange a mass in honor of the boy and his family who lost their lives in the fire. I organized the service at my community church, where many gathered to pray for those lost souls. During the ceremony, I urged everyone to remember the boy and his family, hoping that in remembering them, a measure of peace might be found. To me, this act demonstrated that while death is final, care and remembrance can help ease the pain. After the Mass, I never saw that child again. However, the experience remained etched in my memory. I began keeping a journal, recording every detail and every inexplicable moment that followed. In the quiet hours of early morning, while the world still slept, I would replay the events of that day in my mind, questioning the boundary between the living and the departed. Friends noticed a change in me, a newfound empathy in my eyes, and a quiet resolve to cherish every small act of kindness. I also reached out to a local historian known for his work on paranormal events. Over warm cups of tea in his modest, book-lined office, we discussed how unresolved tragedies sometimes echo through time. He shared similar accounts from the area, stories of lost souls who lingered not out of malice but in desperate need of acknowledgement. Our conversations reinforced my belief that the boy's presence was a silent plea for compassion, a reminder that every spirit, no matter how young, deserves to be remembered. Today, I reflect on what happened with a thoughtful and serious perspective. I'm not searching for mystical or fanciful explanations. I simply accept that some events defy easy understanding. What I experienced at that funeral and in that cemetery taught me that life and death can intertwine in the most unexpected ways. The boy's presence was undeniably real, and it underscored the importance of staying attentive to the world around us. This experience taught me to cherish empathy and compassion, even when I don't fully understand the situation. It transformed my view of the world, reminding me that every soul has a story, and every story deserves to be heard, even those that exist beyond our everyday realm. By sharing my story, I hope others will also remember to look closely at those around them and offer help whenever possible. After all, sometimes a simple act can make a significant difference in someone's life, even if that person is no longer with us. I continue my life carrying the memory of that boy and his story. Even though I don't have all the answers about what happened, I have learned that we must always treat others with respect and care. It is the only way to cope with the surprises and challenges that life presents. And so each time I pass by that cemetery or feel a sudden chill on a quiet night, I remind myself to listen to the whispers of the past and to the echoes of lost lives, and to offer a kind word or gesture to those in need. Thank you all very much for your attention, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much for watching our video until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Have a haunted night, everyone, and see you next time.